9th, 2022 Board and Mayor and Alderman work session for the City of Fayetteville, Tennessee. I'm going to ask Alderman Small to say an opening prayer, and then we'll get into our agenda.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this morning being able to be here in this meeting. We ask, Lord, that you be with us as we make decisions for the greater good of the whole city of Fayetteville. We ask that you go out with the workers today and all that represent the city of Fayetteville and be with them as they endeavor to do their jobs. We ask, Lord, that you bless this food that's provided for the nourishments of our bodies. In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Amen. First on your agenda, we have a review of the May 5th, 2022 work session minutes. Does anybody have any changes, additions, deletions? No, we'll enter those into record. We have several guest speakers today. We're going to start. We have representatives from Tennessee Department of Transportation. We have Kat McClurg and Chastity Bell are here.
Chastity is not here.
Chastity is not here? Okay. First, we're going to speak about the William D. Jones project. So, Kat would like to come up and speak? Okay.
I've never been to one of these before. I don't know who I'm supposed to face here.
Oh, you can face us right there at the microphone.
Perfect. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Do you mind reminding me of the PIN? Because I know that there are a couple different PIN numbers if you have them on you.
Kevin, do you have a pen?
I believe it's 125194, but I could be wrong.
This is where we have the road by the city high school where there's a jog of the road that we're raising and repaving.
Is this the one heading to construction?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So for this one, right now what we're working on, basically, I got in touch with our TAP coordinator. As you know, I believe that we were moving funds from one project onto this project to make sure it gets funded. I believe we were still a little short on the funding there, and so I talked with him to see if we could get that covered. I wanted to make sure that this project had full funding. He has been amicable to that. I think the only question that stands basically at this point, I really want to be able to draft up the contract really quickly. It's already partially drafted. It's just a matter of getting those extra numbers on there that would complete the funding. And then the obligation of funds in the NTP. His main question was really just about the bid letting schedule. So if we were able to expedite those things, what that would be, and then we'll be able to move on and get you guys that information so you can move forward with the project and get started with construction.
So this project is where several years ago, Alderman Bryant, Alderman Small, and myself went up and met with Deputy Commissioner Deggs about pulling together several years worth of STP money for that. And then at the time we were, saying we're asking for what was ahead, but now the time's passed.
Oh, this is 125510. Okay, so I was referring to the other one. There's too many projects. So for that one, oh goodness. Hold please. There's one side of that. So for this one, I know that we're working on the obligation of the funding because it was future funding. It was a little tricky. It was something that I hadn't done before. I'm relatively new to TDOT. I got hired on this. I will be at my 1-year mark in July. So I had never experienced someone pulling from future funding before. We are in the process. I believe we did get those obligation funds. Let me double check.
Yeah,
If I can help you out, this is the one you have given us notice to proceed.
Yes.
The bid is actually out.
Perfect. We were able to fully fund this one. You guys have your notice to proceed. You're able to start with your pre-con conference. You would submit those, the sort of like the minutes, the materials to us, and you can begin construction. For the other one, I gave you the update, but I can definitely repeat it if you guys need it.
Well, so Mr. Owen, so the one on the William D. Jones, that is the one where we're opening bids on 17th.
17th.
17th. And then, so the other one you're referring to is, we were awarded two different.
TAP projects.
Yes, for Greenway phases, and one we had is Phase 2, which was going to cover a pedestrian bridge across the Elk River from one park into Camp Blunt,
Yes.
into another park, and then there was a Phase 3, and so with this cost dramatically rising over the last several years, we earlier in the year had asked the state if we could move money from Phase 3 to Phase 2,
Correct.
pause Phase 3 until a later date.
Yes.
And that's where you were referring to in the beginning.
Those are the funds that I'm referring to, yes. So
Yeah.
for that project, I was in the process of moving the funds when I realized you would still be short. And at that point, I wanted to see if we could get that project fully funded, because I knew that I had talked to our TAP coordinator, and he had mentioned that he might have those funds available. I talked to him, like I said, he was amicable to that. So now it's just figuring out when you guys would be able to bid, and if we can get this expedited. This is something that I'm working on currently. I want to work on it today after we get out of here, so that we can get those funds added to the contract ASAP. I want to expedite that once I talk to you guys. And then after that, I would move to obligate the funds, which means that they become available for use, and that's when you get issued that notice to proceed.
And have you coordinated any with Barge, our engineer? Because the last, Kevin, we had spoken to them.
Kevin.
They were prepared with them. I think they had updated the bid book and everything, and they
Yeah.
were prepared to go to bid.
I've been talking with Kevin, and that's something that I've been wanting to get back to him on, as far as figuring out what the schedule will be for bid letting. And I believe I should hear back. I have to reach out to him today, and then once I hear back from him, I will move forward with those items. So I'm hoping you see a contract really soon. Like I said, I'm hoping to get that finished up today, expedited, and out to you guys if possible.
Hey, Ken, if I may add, Kevin is out of the office at a training session. He will not be back until Tuesday, but
Okay.
he's committed to be in touch with you as soon as he returns on Tuesday.
I'll make sure that we get that taken care of then. So.
Okay,
So-
go ahead, Mr. Bryant.
So you're saying that the state is, you're as a state representative, you're looking at trying to get both of these projects fully funded?
No, the one project was short. So like we moved the funds from the one project, Phase 3, into Phase 2. And even with those funds, based on the cost estimate provided, you were still short some of those funds. And I want to make sure that that project gets full funds on there. And so that's what I was discussing with our TAP coordinator.
Okay, so we're trying to get to Phase 2 of the Greenway fully funded, but
Right.
the other, what we call William D. Jones, might not be fully funded, depending on how it is.
That one, so because we're moving the funds for now, that project is sort of, to me, because it won't have any funds on it, that one will need to be applied for other funds, most
We can do
likely.
that. We can
Yes.
apply, once the
Yes.
bid comes in, if it comes in like we've been experienced, and everything's coming in high.
Yeah,
So we can apply for other funding, probably
Yes.
other matched funding, I think, but
yeah. Neil's recommendation usually in this situation, Neil Hansen, our TAP
Right.
coordinator, is in some ways it's a good thing, because if we can get this project fully funded and then you have to apply for new funds for this project, in that context, if you have an idea of what the estimates are coming in at, you have a better opportunity to hopefully apply for like what it would actually be as to what you might have started out at, which might be significantly lower, as we've been saying.
well, both projects has gone up a lot, because
Yeah.
we're talking over 4 years on one of the projects.
Right,
And on the other one, probably talking 3 years on it.
yeah,
So in that 4-year period of time, everything has escalated, what, 40, 50, 60% probably.
Yeah.
So, through no fault of our own, we moved forward best we could.
and hopefully that's an opportunity for you guys, as opposed to a negative that you had to move those funds, because applying for new funds, like I said, would allow you to hopefully get a better idea of what the actual estimate is,
Okay.
and apply for it like as much, like as to get it that one fully funded as well without issue.
All right. Well, we had been, kind of thought we might be able to do that, so.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, we appreciate the additional funding on phase two.
Oh, absolutely.
Because we don't have it in front of us, but we, as a board, have a spreadsheet that was provided that,
Yep.
I mean, this was awarded in like 16 or
Yeah.
something. And so if it had been done by 19, we would have been fine, but then the escalation of prices. But there was a great graph that went across left to right that basically said the project cost went up $1 million,
Yeah.
but the awarded money didn't go up a dime.
Right.
And that was the main key where we, debated earlier, but we've committed to this project to do it. So
Yeah.
we appreciate TDOT and Mr. Hanson stepping up and, putting some more money into it.
And, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the board, once we get this phase two done, even though we pull the funding back off of phase three, I think that we are planning on going ahead and trying to do phase three at some later point.
Right. It can
After all,
take a
it's just-
while, I know, especially
Right.
for cities to make sure that they have the ability to match that.
Right.
And, but I'm happy to give you guys the opportunity to be able to complete both, hopefully.
Anybody else have any other questions? Thank you so much for, unless you got anything.
Well, just one more. I'm assuming, or maybe not, hopefully not, but I don't know. But anyway, additional funding, any additional funding we get to, it sounds like it's going to be a pretty good chance on this Greenway project phase two. And if we can on the, what we call William D. Jones project, would that be 100% funding or would that be a match from the city?
It would be a match for the city. So it depends on what kind of funding you apply for ultimately. So if you were to go back in and apply for TAP funds, it's going to be that 80-20 match.
Okay.
We have another type of funding, but I'd have to look at the project to see if it's eligible for that type of funding,
Okay.
Which is multimodal. And that one that one can be a little bit better. It just depends on which one you want to apply for. So multimodal funding is 95.5.
Well, we tried that on one project here last year and it didn't work.
Oh, gotcha.
Well,
Yeah.
it just ran into a situation of where the timeline couldn't work for us.
Yeah.
It just kind of dropped off on us, and hey, you got like 20 days to do this, and
Yeah.
we couldn't pull it together. So, but it'd be worth looking at. I mean, it certainly would.
Well, I think, didn't we ask when we were in Nashville a few years ago whether multimodal would apply to William D. Jones because it jogged between two highways and we were told no. Even though there was a industry down the road from it, we were
Yeah.
told that that would not help us on that one.
I would have to look at it specifically, like the project, the map, sort of to figure out what the eligibility is and what the requirements are for multimodal are obviously going to be different from TAP. They're different grants. One of them is state, one of them is federal funds, so they require different things. Ultimately, if you've applied for TAP before, potentially if you've done any work on the project, then bringing that to TAP again and saying we've completed any amount of work on this project, we want to continue down this path with 80-20 funding. Hopefully that would give you a better opportunity to be able to get that grant. I'm unsure about multimodal. I'd have to look into it.
Okay. Well,
And we're 80-20 on this current.
Yeah.
So,
if we get extra funding, if it is on on that project over yonder, sound like if we get extra funding, I mean, that's just do 20% of it. I think we'll live with that.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome. Well, if anyone else has any questions,
thank you for coming. We appreciate it.
thank you for inviting me. It was nice to meet you all.
Nice to meet you. All right, next item. The last several months, there's been interest for some people that wanted to have additional liquor stores. Per our current ordinance, we have a cap of 4, and that's been in existence for a long time. There was one time years ago it was lifted, and then it was rescinded. So we almost voted on this at last month's BMA meeting, but we were asked to give 30 days. Which we did, and then I asked Ms. Gentry to reach out to the liquor store owners to come today to speak if they want to, give their thoughts on it. Mr. Mitchell, who's first on this list, asked to go last, so I'll ask on Strong Brothers if Mr. Strong would like to come and speak.
First of all, I'd like to thank the mayor for all allowing us to speak. My name is Doug Strong, and I'm the owner of Strong Brothers Liquor Stores since May of '96. My family started this business back in '67. I would like to refer to a statement made by Alderman Bryant in the Elk Valley Times back last time, or in the Elk Valley Times, about removing the cap. And he said this was the last time he was up here, and that's been about 10 years ago, I guess. And he said it turned into a bad situation and a bad experience. I'd like to know what it was. It wasn't anything on our part. Everything went smooth. No loud noises, no animosity, no screaming, hollering. But the article, it made it seem like the owners created this mess, and that's not right. If anything happened, it happened within the board, not with us.
Can I speak to that?
Sure.
Oh, I didn't in any way, with that statement, didn't in any way make it sound like it was any issues with store owners or anything. It was all internal on our part as a board in having to go back and look at rescinding something we'd done a month before.
Okay.
I felt like it kind of put the board in kind of a bad situation, but that statement was all internal concerning our
Okay,
board.
good.
It was nothing whatsoever concerning
Okay.
the store owners. I never heard anything negative from any store owners. It was just a situation to where we took action on this, and then of course we listened to the store owners. Then the board decided to go back and rescind it the very next month. To me, that kind of puts the board in kind of a bad situation whenever you feel like you have to go back, because it makes it look like maybe we didn't do our homework up front in order to have to go back and rescind it. So to clear that up, that had nothing whatsoever to do with any of the store owners whatsoever.
Okay.
It was just my opinion internally.
Okay. Well, I took it that it was our fault. So, okay, we got that.
Hey, y'all should pick the phone up and call me if y'all was concerned about a statement like that. And I'd certainly clarify it, because I would never intentionally mean, for any negative to come out of the store owners whatsoever.
Okay.
So hopefully that clears that up.
I cleared that up.
All right.
Also, you made a statement that you wanted to remove the cap and let the market take care of it. If they couldn't make it, they'd go out of business. Well, that could be my store.
It could be.
It could be.
It could be.
And I've been here a long time. I'm a local.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not fair to lift the cap and let somebody come in here and it's going to affect all of our businesses. I mean, that's just not right. That could affect me and the other 3 existing stores. And adding more stores is only going to water down and devalue the existing stores. More stores does not mean more revenue, only less income for the stores here now. Mr. Mateo had 2 opportunities to buy the liquor locker. 2. He chose not to. He had an opportunity to buy East End Liquor. He chose not to. That had a grocery store, liquor store, and its gas pumps. He chose not to. So now, all of us had to go in and buy our stores. We had to put the money up and buy it. He wants to come in here, let y'all raise the cap, and just issue him a license. That's not fair. He told me 4 times in my store, he didn't care about the liquor license. He just wanted to build his convenience store with 4 pumps, a big smoke room, and a big beer cave. So when he said that, I said, well, won't you take your request off the table? Just take it off. I told him that twice, standing in my store. He didn't say a word. Another thing, approving wine in grocery stores killed our wine business. That took a lot of income away from us. It had a big impact on my store, and I'm sure the others as well. I understand that back last October, somebody applied to try to get a license and was denied. He was told the cap was 4. And then on May the 3rd, Mr. Patel comes up there and applies for a license and rolls out this big plan for this big store and all this stuff. And so now it goes before the full board. Mr. Alden talked about that being an eyesore at that location. Well, he's had that property for several years. Why did the city not make him clean it up then? My business is down, and it's a result of high gas, inflation, and the wine and grocery stores, and 2 stores in Ardmore, Tennessee. That's really affected us. More stores will only make it worse. In closing, I would just like to say that our fate, our livelihood, is determined by your vote today. And I hope you vote to keep the cap at 4. It just seems to me that this board does not want to support the local store in this town. And that's a shame. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Mr. Neil Patel for East End Liquor.
Thank you, dear honorable committee members, for letting me speak on this concern. I, Neil Patel, am here to speak on behalf of my father, Jagdish Patel, who is the owner of Eastern Liquor. I'm respectful to this committee for thinking about this town's development and prosperity. I am also would like to see this town strengthen the economy, provide a better quality of life, and build on local assets. Fayetteville's population hasn't changed much in the last decade. According to census.gov, Fayetteville population was 7,060 in 2015 and 7,046 in 2020. Approving for another liquor permit will only have negative impact. The existing liquor stores are already facing fierce competition with wine businesses like Walmart carrying wine, like Mr. Doug pointed out. No one stands a chance against a big corporation to compete. Because of this fierce competition, only spirits are left to survive from. And adding new permit will only trounce existing businesses. The requester of a new liquor permit off the corner of the Highway 50 and 64 already has plans and can build a gas station. This city will benefit from that development regardless of a liquor store permit. Consider adding liquor permits in already saturated market will only make the situation dire for existing liquor stores and push them out of business. I request this committee to kindly consider our important concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Patel. Liquor Locker, Vic Patel.
Hello everyone, my name is Nick Patel. I'm the owner of the Liquor Locker. Recently, last year, I bought the Liquor Locker from the Vic Patel, and Vic Patel was saying me that like he was ready to sell it to Rocky Patel, next neighbor, like the D&M market, but Rocky wasn't interested in a liquor business at the time. And like right now, because of the inflation and economy is down and everything, so every business is struggling. And it seems like the population's been steady from last decade. And like I have, like my family owns another liquor store in Giles County, and Giles County has like 3 liquor licenses. I was talking to some member of the community over there, and they said we don't need another liquor license. So my opinion, like there are 4 liquor stores already over here, 2 in Ardmore, and another one is coming in Ardmore city limit. So it is gonna hurt everybody over here. So please think about, and whatever decision you guys make, be okay with that, but just please think about the small businesses like me, because I had to buy last year. I paid good money on it, and I did not expect it that gonna happen soon. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Last, Mr. Fonville Mitchell.
Good morning.
Morning, Fonville.
Excuse me while I get my stuff together real quick, like. I'm not a public speaker, so kind of bear with me. Oops, microphone. Oops. My name is Fawnville Mitchell. I'm here representing Bill's Liquor Store. My background, I have a Bachelor of Science degree in Ag Economics, Rural Sociology, with a minor in Psychology from the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. I've been in the retail liquor business since 1981, from being part-time to full-time to managing and to owning West End Liquor Store. And as a sidebar, I had to give up the West End Liquor Store because just like everybody sitting up here, and these three gentlemen right here, the High Sheriff of Lincoln County, you cannot own a liquor license if you are an employee, an elected official, or an appointed official of any government agency. 1 point, that's not free market. I have no financial stakes in any liquor store. I volunteer my time and knowledge at no cost to Bill's Liquor Store since early 2005. I am retired for 6 years now from the United States Postal Service. Here's a little history of the package liquor stores here in Fayetteville. In July 1967, federal liquor store ordinances began. I have the original newspaper. Very good article. It gives state laws that govern liquor stores. As you can see on this, there were 4 liquor stores were to be the full number. Before that was completed, because of the times and the civil unrest, a 5th liquor store was added to the mix. It was to be a black-owned liquor store by Queen Alice. It was called Holiday Liquor Store. Then, in the Governor Ray Blanton era, 1975 to 1979, a 5th liquor store, East End, received a liquor license. During Governor Ray Blanton's governorship, he sold liquor licenses. Governor Blanton was indicted on charges of mail fraud, conspiracy, and extortion for selling liquor licenses. He was convicted and sentenced to federal prison and served 22 months. The chairman of the Alcoholic Beverage Commission at that time was former Mayor S.J. King. He was sentenced to 60 days in prison for his, and this is quotations, role in the liquor store conspiracy, according to the New York Times. He was a witness for the state in the Ray Blanton trial. In the 1990s, both West End, and as a sidebar, I think it was 1991 or 92 was when I relinquished mine and it went to another owner. But in the 1990s, both West End and Holiday Liquors surrendered their licenses to the state. No interest was shown in applying for those licenses. In 2011, the Federal Board of Mayor and Aldermen voted at their monthly meeting 6-0, first to have unlimited number of liquor stores in Fayetteville, upon which a work session such as this was held to allow the 4 stores to present compelling evidence that it was a poor decision. Upon the presentation, Alderman Pat Fraley commented that she, this is a quote, had been educated. I'm sure a couple of y'all remember her words. The Board of Mayor and Aldermen voted at the work session 5-1 to cap the stores at 4, 2 north of the river and 2 south of the river. The only vote against the cap was Alderman Danny Bryant. Now, here we are again, 11 years later. Point 1, liquor stores and Tennessee and free market business should never be spoken in the same paragraph. Nothing could be farther from apart. Would be like calling Fayetteville, Tennessee the capital of the state of Tennessee. Point 2, history shows us that some stores in Fayetteville has actively participated in illegal business. One store in particular, and that was under a previous owner, none of these owners. The information and the physical evidence was carried and hand-delivered in Nashville and given to the Alcoholic Beverage Commission. It was selling after hours, carrying them dated and time-stamped receipts were handed over, along with a Federal Police Department police report of after-hours sales. Lastly, and at least one individual here today participated in an illegal activity at that same store. Pictures of the participants with most individuals being identified were handed over to the Alcoholic Beverage Commission in Nashville. Point 3, unintended consequences. This is not just about 4 liquor stores and the possibility of a 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, whatever number. The unintended consequences that this board has not taken into consideration will be discussed at the end by a business owner. Point 4, wine in the grocery store, as Doug Strong alluded to. I can tell you, last time that I checked, Bill's Liquor Store wine sales were down 70%. 70%. I spoke with one of the wine salesmen from one of the wholesalers last week. We were just in discussion. And he began selling wine for that wholesaler 1 year after the wine and grocery store started. Now these salesmen, they're 100% commissioned, and they have target numbers. They're told, I'm assuming, I didn't ask any particulars, I'm assuming that month by month they're told, okay, last year you sold $100,000. This year you got to sell $100,000 plus whatever. He said in their first meeting when he became a wine salesman, which was 1 year after wine and grocery stores, and they gave all of those salesmen their target sheets for the year. The bosses at that wholesaler told them, do not look at these numbers. Said, if you choose to look at these target numbers, cut them in half. Those salesmen even were looking at losing 50% of their income because of wine in the grocery stores. These 4 liquor stores right here has lost probably as much as 50. I know Bill's Liquor Store, last time I checked, it was 70%. And that's been a few months ago now. Point 5, more stores does not equal more sales. Only a loss of about 20% of the current owner's sales if only 1 more store is opened. How do you think the city employees, appointed officials, the elected officials would feel if this board of mayor and aldermen sit down and cut all of their salaries by 20%? Wouldn't be fun. Point 6, I gave everyone up here and over here a copy of the area city comparison that I ran. Fayetteville is on the low end of everything. Case in point, 17, I will use just round numbers, 1,700 residents per liquor store. Lawrenceburg's 2,600. Winchester, 4,200. Manchester, 2,500. Tullahoma, 4,600. Shelbyville, 6,700. Lewisburg, 2,700. Pulaski, 2,000. Population growth. Which cities are growing? City of Fayetteville. Now all these figures come from comparing the 2010 and the 2020 U.S. Census records. City of Fayetteville, growth rate, 3.5%. Lawrenceburg, 9%. Winchester, 9.1%. Manchester, 20.1% growth. Tullahoma, 9.2%. Shelbyville, 8.6%. Lewisburg, 9%. Pulaski, 9.4%. City of Fayetteville, 3.5%. Back to the unintended consequences. If Bill's Liquor Store is forced to close, and I use the word forced because of lost revenue, or if Bill's Liquor Store is forced to sell, then her new tenant that has just leased the building right next to it, her business could very well be evicted. Because if Alicia has to get rid of the building, a new owner might well evict her. And that would be on y'all's hands. Secondly, as I said, I'm retired and I live in Tullahoma. It's 28 and a half miles one way from my driveway to the front door of Bill's Liquor Store. Here where it comes to unintended consequences, and here's the business owner. I own the largest and cleanest coin laundromat in not only Fayetteville, but in Lincoln County. I do not owe anything on my business. I also do not need that income. I'm retired. It was bought by me because the customers of the old laundromat said that they depended on it. I have completely cleaned up the building, new floor. I provide 24 washing machines and 20 dryer pockets. And just to give you kind of an example, the last new dryer that I bought was $9,000. The last washing machine that I had to purchase was $13,000. I have 24 washing machines. I posted a sign. Here's 2 pink signs. I posted these signs in my laundromat. It's not an idle threat, but it's a fact that if Bill's Liquor Store is forced to no longer be owned by Alicia, then I will, without hesitation, clear out and sell all of my equipment and supplies to a man I know who lives about 70 miles from here. I've done business with him. As a point of reference, remember, one dryer, $9,000. One washing machine, $13,000. That business for sure will be gone, and I will sit on my front porch instead of driving to Fayetteville 5, 6, and 7 days a week. It's where I do most all of my shopping. I buy my grocery from David West at Gerald's. Always have. Always would, as long as I'm coming to Fayetteville. Eating many, many meals at Fayetteville restaurants. I leave a lot of tax dollars behind. Think about what you're about to do. Not only to 4 store owners, their employees, other businesses, and more importantly, the citizens of Fayetteville. You'll notice this one, it's got 4 pieces of paper on it. I had one of the laundromat patrons that I have suggested that I put a sign-up sheet over there. I didn't think of anything about it, so I did. Put it up on Sunday afternoon was the first one. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I took the Wednesday one off this morning before I came up here. You'll be hurting a lot more than the 1, 2, or 3 people that think they're going to be a good and successful liquor store owner. There's my signs. My laundry customers are signed. They are very much aware of it. And they are also not wanting this liquor store cap removed just because of the unintended consequences. They know that I'm old and I'm retired. I don't need it. And I can sit at home and have a clear conscience on that. A couple of items and all that has been alluded to. Of course, each of y'all received one of these city comparisons. Look at it very clearly. Last meeting, the one thing where it's been talked about every time, and it's just as wrong as the day is long. Liquor stores is not a free market industry. It is highly controlled by the state of Tennessee. Tells you what days you can be open, what days you have to be closed, what time you cannot sell before, which is most days it's 8 o'clock in the morning. Cannot sell anything after 11 o'clock at night. That's not free market. They tell you who you can buy from. On the back of that packet that you received last week, if y'all remember seeing something like this. This is from 2011. 2 different invoices. If you looked at it, then you will see what's in the colored areas here. Same items. 2 different wholesalers. The top one, if you kind of look, it's kind of hard because of being a copy. There's some initials. It says return. Well, if you look at it, the bottle cost was cheaper than this one right here. They both came in that same week. They're dated. Came in the same week. This one that was cheaper to buy was returned. Against the law to buy from this wholesaler these items. Can only buy these items from this wholesaler. Reason this happened, we had a new salesman. This is a split market. Unlike Chevrolet, Pulaski, going that way, they are in the Nashville market. Winchester is only in the Chattanooga market. Fayetteville, Tullahoma, Manchester, McMinnville, up through there is a split market. You have to buy certain items from different wholesalers, even though 2 wholesalers may sell the exact same things. The cheaper one had to be returned. Illegal for us to buy. Other things that makes us not a free market, if you got a back door, it's got to be locked and barred. State Fire Marshal doesn't like that. Signage. Cannot put a sign of Bill's Liquor Store on a vehicle. You know why? According to ABC, the vehicle moves. Had the opportunity to buy an advertising sign to put on the hood or the trunk of a dirt track car. Nope. Alicia contacted ABC, said, nope, can't do it. Car moves. We have no dirt track here. It was to advertise outside of Lincoln County to try to bring more people into Lincoln County to buy. The employees all have to have permits. Have to take a test every year. And there's $30. Store pays for it. But 3 of us are also considered managers. We have to take the second test, which is $65. $95 each year for permits to be able to work there and hold those positions. Then, just because, and I think it's 50 employees and below, Alicia has to write a $150 check because she has employees, besides having to buy her license every year or renew them. The state tells every liquor store, on your wine, you have to have a minimum of a 20% markup. Grocery stores is a good example. They can have what's called leader items. Gerald Chapman told me one time that he used to sell whole turkeys, and I think it was like 20 cents a pound cheaper than what he bought them for. Liquor stores can't do that. He did that because he knew that'd bring you in to buy something, and then while you were there, you'd buy all the fixings for that turkey dinner. Liquor. has to have a minimum of a 10% markup. Little sidebar here, City of Fayetteville receives an 8%. It's called a liquor tax. I would prefer, well, I refer to it as an invoice tax. On every invoice, 8% of the amount of money that the liquor stores buy their liquor and wine, the City of Fayetteville gets off the top right then, whether that liquor or wine is ever even sold. That is above and beyond our sales tax collections. Another thing, liquor stores cannot have anything that shows or depicts or even imagine it's a picture or representation of Santa Claus. We have had to not, back when the Exchange had the cookbook, if there was a Santa Claus on the front page for the children to color, when we'd find out about that, we could not advertise in that because Santa Claus was on it. Let's see, I've already talked about the wine salesman. Here's two other things. Talked about the eyesore on Winchester Highway and Lynchburg Highway, that intersection right there. I drive by it every day. Calling it something an eyesore, that's subjective. There's no measurement can be made on that. However, y'all have a city ordinance that says that the vegetation is not to be that tall. It's not being enforced. That could clear up that eyesore right there. Y'all have the city ordinance for that already in place. And one thing, when Doug Strong told you about Rocky Patel had the opportunity to buy Liquor Locker twice, opportunity to buy East End once, he bypassed those. He said no. He did come and talk to Alicia about buying Bill's Liquor Store. In her words, he lowballed her. She told me what the price was that he asked for, or he offered. That lowball would barely cover the cost of her inventory, would not cover the property, which is a pretty big parking lot and has the grass lot down beside it, and all, did not include my laundry equipment, which, just to give you a real quick figure, and all, if you went in there to put all that equipment in that I've got in there right now, you'd probably be looking close to $750,000. Ain't somebody just gonna come in there and walk in and do that. The bulkhead that runs down between the washing machines, it's where all the utilities run. That's 7 years ago, men that worked as a salesman for the company that I bought most of my machines from, he told me then, he said, when he quoted me the price and all, and I about fainted, he told me, he said, well, you've already got the bulkhead down through here. He said, that bulkhead right there, he said, that's $50,000. You've already got that. So that's not even included in the machines. As I say, we hashed this out 11 years ago. And here we are once again. Y'all's decision affects these 4 store owners' money that they will have to go buy groceries, food, gasoline, maybe hire some employees. You cut their money down 20%, how many employees do you think are going to be losing their jobs? If they don't completely lose their jobs, how many will lose at least income because their hours will have to be cut? A lot for y'all to think about. You've got a lot of your citizens' stake at hand. It's not just 4 liquor store owners. It's not me, the laundromat owner. It's not the 26-year-old girl that's been in this one business for 10 years, started up her little business, and ready to expand her business and leasing that building. They've been working on it. She's hoping to be open before now. Her father said he's planning on trying to get her in there by tomorrow. Hopefully at least by the first of the week, the way I look at it. 26-year-old single mother. Her livelihood for her to expand and do better. Fayetteville and Lincoln County needs to do better for their citizens. Maybe Fayetteville City will grow instead of 3%, get it up there to 7, 8, 9, 10%, like all these surrounding towns. That falls right here. Talk about how more businesses are locating here in reference to liquor stores. That's fine and dandy. Businesses do not buy liquor and wine. People do. That's the population. 3.5% population increase. Why is it so low compared to everybody else? That's for y'all to know. I don't have that answer. But I'm not elected to make those kind of determinations as to what can we do as a group. Right now, it's what can we do as a group to help the city of Fayetteville, help the residents, and help the local business owners. Any businesses getting ready to relocate or to start up in Fayetteville, when they see all this kind of stuff, how y'all are looking at affecting these people's businesses, their livelihoods, they may think twice about relocating here or opening up their little business. They may say, I'll go here in the county, or I'll go to another county, another city. It's up to y'all. They'll say, I can go to the house and sit down. I don't have to have it. And yeah, they'll say, I have no financial stake in the liquor stores. But I'll guarantee you one thing, I've lost sleep over this. Got here this morning, I came in and I ate my breakfast here in Fayetteville like I always do. And my stomach was churning because I knew that I'm here trying to help 4 people and their businesses, and I could have stayed in bed, but I chose not to, because what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. It was wrong 11 years ago, and Alderman Pat Fraley upstairs in that room, and I believe that she sat right there, my memory serves me right, in both places after this presentation. She sat down and she said, I have been educated. Alderman Bryant said, talked about that other, said, kind of made us look like we didn't do our homework. Pat Frady, at that meeting that wasn't supposed to have happened, but was able to have happened, she actually said she had been educated. So apparently homework was not done. It's a completely different animal, liquor business, than any other. And I hope that y'all see it in your heart, but more importantly, see it in your head. Lifting the cap on these liquor stores was then a poor idea. It's a poor idea now. Y'all will not collect any more taxes. Matter of fact, when the buying power of these liquor stores that are in existence right now diminishes, they can no longer what's called buying a deal, buy in bulk. We've already had to cut down on buying in bulk on wines. Well, wholesalers charge called a split case charge. Last count I heard, it was $12 a case. A case of 750 bottles of wine, 12 bottles in a case. Your cost just went up $1 to them. Y'all benefited from it, kind of, sort of. Y'all got 8 cents per bottle right there. And y'all have an 8% liquor tax. But the prices went up. People going to Walmart. If prices continue to go up, if more stores come in and prices everything, how many people that live in Fayetteville work in Huntsville, Winchester, Tullahoma, Shelbyville, Lewisburg, Pulaski? Their prices cheaper. They'll be buying over there. So guess what? you lose out on your 8% liquor tax and your sales tax and your business tax. It could adversely affect the city of Fayetteville financially. Not as much as these folks, but it's up to y'all. I don't know if you, I hope y'all can make a decision as quickly as possible, but if it takes y'all to adjourn and think about it for a while, I could completely understand that. This is not a light subject. This is a heavy subject. A lot is at stake. A lot of people's lives are at stake. But I appreciate your time, and hopefully something will be resolved in 10 years or after the next election cycle. I'm not asked to come back up here again and do this. I really don't need it. But y'all think about it hard and deep. Y'all will affect not only 4 business owners, but everybody that goes to my laundromat.
Thank you, Mr.
Yeah.
Mitchell. Appreciate your time.
Can I make one correction, please?
Sure.
I do have one correction, Paul. You talked about, and it doesn't have anything to do with your presentation. You made a good presentation, just like you did 10, 11 years ago. But just keep the record clear on anything on my part. It's been mentioned, I saw it in social media and also heard it here tonight, that in that vote 10, 11 years ago on rescinding, I was a no vote. I was not a no vote. I abstained from that vote. I did not vote. I abstained from that vote.
Okay, well, I apologize. I knew that 5 voted for it,
Right.
and so
No, mine.
I've slipped since then, so I do apologize for that.
I abstained from that vote, and I had reasons to abstain from that vote at that time. I hardly ever abstained from a vote. I did abstain from that particular vote. So I think if you go back and look at the records 10, 11 years ago, you'll remember that. And I just want to clear that up.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I appreciate the correction.
All right.
I'm not the perfect person, and I do make mistakes, and I stand corrected. Thank you.
No problem. Just want to make it clear.
Since these gentlemen all have businesses and they open soon, I'm going to ask that we move from what's at the bottom under other ordinance 2022-09, just have that discussion now, following the speakers. Last month, we took it to the board meeting to vote. Is that still the intention of the board?
What line item again?
And then under other, number 1, ordinance 2022-09, request to increase the number of liquor stores within the city.
I'm still in favor of it. I can be fine with adding one more, not a totally uncapped, but I want to vote, I want something out there in that area, and I'm still for it.
Mr. Bright, do you want to take it to Tuesday?
I'm okay to take it with Tuesday. I think I made it pretty clear how my vote will be Tuesday. I will not vote to make this change. I've already made that clear. I don't intend on voting to make this change, but I'm okay with going to a vote.
Alderman Small?
I'm okay with going to a vote, but I see no need in expanding any of that. My thoughts all along have been because of the sales at Walmart that the other people have been watered down.
Mr. Martinez?
Okay, we want to vote on Tuesday.
Alderman Harden?
Go to a vote on Tuesday. I'm ready for it to go vote.
All right, let's take it to a vote. Thank you for all coming. Understand all your concerns.
Can I just say one thing real quick? Just a sidebar. Alicia just had to leave because it's making her physically sick.
I understand.
That's the reason
I understand.
that's the reason she had to get up and leave.
I understand. Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. Next we have, I guess it's just for notification, we've already voted On Tuesday, we'll have public hearings separate for FY 2023 City of Fayetteville budget and the city school system budget. So those will begin before those will start at 5 o'clock, those public hearings, and be before the Board of Mayor and Aldermen BMA meeting. We'll go to department reports. Mr. Plunkett is out of town today, so Mr. Owens is going to do his report.
Good morning. Eddie is out of town. He's on vacation today. He has requested that I make one announcement. The garbage truck is down, so that was discovered today. So he will have a report on the repairs upon his return. But as far as the agenda, today we do have ordinance 2022-13, which is regulating parking on Campbell Street West, and that particular item did come before the Public Works Committee. It's about allowing the parking on one side of the street. The issue here at hand is that we have had problems with public safety, the fire department vehicles being able to pass through that street. So we feel like this action will help to correct. We also have another issue that we feel like we can help assist in this. We want to make sure that the residents in that particular street are notified. So that is another issue. They have not been notified as of today, but we want to make sure that the residents are notified. So we do want to present this particular ordinance to go forward on Tuesday.
So the language, I'll just read one paragraph. Whereas the board deems it appropriate to prohibit public parking on the north side of the westernmost block of West Campbell Street, west of Brogan, in order to ensure that sufficient roadway is available for the operation of motor vehicles in each direction on West Campbell Street. Chief Kimbrough, can you speak for a minute? Is there an issue with the fire trucks getting down that portion of West Campbell?
Yes, when they're both parked side by side, it's hard to get our apparatus down through. About a week ago, 10 days ago, we ran a call back in there, and we had to park 4 houses up and then back out because we couldn't get down the road. You can get like a smaller vehicle through there, but our apparatus are so wide that you can't get down when their cars are parked right like side by side. And some of them try to offset each other, but you're trying to do this down between there. So that's the issues we've been having on that end.
Yeah. I mentioned, Mr. Owens, I would prefer before we vote that the residents be notified about this change, but this did come in committee, so was that discussed at all?
Sure was.
So,
Let alone with a truck, you can't get a car through there. Our only other option is make it a one-way, but then if people park on both sides, the parking on both sides that hinder all of it. It's a very narrow street.
okay, if they all park on the one side, does that hinder the garbage collection any?
Probably. So that's not one way is not an option. Tenuous at least.
There was no objection from Eddie about it, the document.
Yeah.
He didn't have any objection to doing it that way.
Was the board content to take another 30 days, notify everybody about this change?
Yeah, like that all.
Okay, I'd prefer that, let them know, so, okay. Anything else under Public Works, Mr. Owens?
No, sir, that concludes that report.
Okay. Next we go to Police, Commander Casillas.
Good morning. The only thing I have is to pass on is going to be an event. They're requesting to block off Alk and Main on Edison Street. But the only issue that I'm going to have with this is it's going to be before the next board, Mayor Board and Alderman meeting. But we've done things before get voted on. But I was going to make sure that you be aware that this event is going to happen prior to that meeting.
Yeah, I noticed that, which is there going to be any presence from police officers on either end, or?
We're going to get barrels and block off that whole section. I can make an officer be there to, make sure that everything's going to be safe and secure.
Well, as long as it's blocked off. Is the board okay with doing this retroactive? I mean, it's already in place. They're doing this Vacation Bible School right now.
Yes.
We do need to educate people in the future to get their permit requests in ahead of time.
This has already happened twice this year.
Is it twice already? Yeah.
Yes.
So we just need to encourage them to get their permits in a little bit more timely, so we're not doing, okay.
But I'll handle it. I already got cones to be sent out there and to block off both sides of the road. And I'll have an officer make sure they, be in that area just to make sure everything's running smoothly.
Okay.
All right, but that's the end of my report. Do y'all have anything for
Any
me?
other questions? Thank you,
I just
sir.
want to thank the police officers for assisting Main Street on our first Fridays. It's always a congested mess, no matter how much organization that we plan for. But it's such a large event, and we just appreciate the police and the fire because that just assists us so much more. So
You're welcome.
thank
We're
you.
glad to do it. All right, you'll take care. Thank you.
We go Fire Department, Chief Kimbrough.
Good morning. I've got, want to make changes to the burn permit policy. One of the changes is for like a recreational fire which is a 36-ounce diameter, no taller than 2 feet tall. Basically like just a recreational fire pit that a lot of homeowners will have in their backyards and stuff. They're going to give them a yearly permit. We'll go out once a year. We'll check that. They still have to have a fire extinguisher or a garden hose within the vicinity of that will reach that area. But we're just going to do it yearly instead of us going out every time somebody wants to just have a little weenie roast or something right there in their backyard and write a permit. We'll just do one yearly. Open fires, like as far as when they're doing construction or clearing of some trees and stuff like that, they still have to have a permit every time. But just for the recreational fires, we're going to change it to a yearly permit if that's the approval of the board. We will be out Saturday at the Fish Rodeo, just assisting Brian and his guys, doing some hot dogs and stuff for the citizens as well. Engine 1 update, it's going along good. They did get some parts in. They're waiting on some schematic. They hadn't got it from the E1 company yet, or not E1 from towing. They hadn't got it in yet, but they're still working on it. Engine 2 got update Tuesday that we hope to be able to pick it up maybe Friday afternoon or Monday. So it's almost a completion. And that's my report.
Any questions from Chief Kimbrough?
Thank you. Thank you.
We'll go to Parks and Recreation, Mr. Carter.
Good morning.
Morning.
Our fish rodeo is this coming Saturday, June the 11th, and we've already had fish added yesterday, and we'll have more added Friday. Looking forward to get this done. Lee parking lot, we're still waiting on a response from the owner. Hopefully, we will find something out so we can find whether or not we can obtain use of that.
Explain that a little bit for the board. You've mentioned before, but just give a little more. That's adjacent to the soccer field.
Correct.
And that is an old industrial parking lot. If they would let us have for the overflow parking, because that parking that we've already put in is already overflowing during the soccer matches.
Plaque is in for the Donnie Shelton Memorial. If you remember, that was torn down and was rebuilt, and we got it back in. We're just scheduling Rick Mason to go ahead and get that completed. And the walking trail vandalism update, basically the insurance didn't cover that, so I will be getting quotes to get that correct, to get it fixed here upcoming. Fireworks display is on June the 25th, which is a couple of weekends from now, so we're getting prepared for that. Pool house repair work is done. It is complete. We have a 25-year warranty on that, and it has been inspected. And we're waiting to paint the pool floors. I'll have to explain that a little bit. The design of the pool house, you have an opening at the top. It rains through that opening. And it's always been like that, and I think it's there for ventilation. So with the rain, we couldn't get in and paint it because the floors were wet. So just as soon as we can find a good time to paint it, it will be painted. We've gotten the material for it. We're just waiting for the floor, a good time for it, the weather to cooperate with us so we can get it done.
And the pool's been full?
Pool's been full.
And swim meets are going great. And
yes.
One day actually ran out of concessions and we had to send somebody to go get more concessions.
Yes.
Concessions are doing very well too.
Yes.
And Leadership Lincoln painted some dugouts and press boxes over at Kids Park.
That is correct.
We're very thankful for that project.
Yes, we are.
On the 25th, what time was the park open for people to come down?
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
Yes.
Any questions, Mr. Carter?
I have a couple of questions. So we're not giving swim lessons this summer, right?
No, we're not.
That's out.
No,
Okay.
that's something that I'm looking into that, see if we can get it done next year. There's a little bit of legalities that we want to be sure about, and it came about this year. We just weren't for sure about it.
Okay, because I've had several calls on that why we weren't giving swim
Right.
lessons. So, and on Don Davidson, I missed the recreation meeting this month. Where do we stand on that, Mr. Owens? Or?
I'm going to let Mr. Owens
Okay.
explain that in just a little bit.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. We'll go with Planning and Codes, Ms. Christy Gentry.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll give my full department report on Tuesday, but I had intended on bringing Ms. Jill Smith, our property maintenance inspector, to introduce her to the full board this morning, but Jack had to be out of the office and we did not want to leave the department unattended. So if you've not had the opportunity to come by and meet Ms. Jill, please do. She's been here almost 3 weeks and is already filling up a log. By the next meeting cycle, you will have a very full report. We've already started working with Mr. Hill on some property maintenance issues and going through some processes for ones that we'll more than likely have to end up going to court with. One of the main things we are also closely monitoring is political signs. As of June the 4th, you were permitted to place political signs inside the city limits for the August 4th election. We are doing our best to monitor the right-of-ways and communicate with the candidates. We had to communicate with several of them before the June 4th deadline. They were all respective and gladly removed their signs and have since placed them out again. But we will continuously monitor that. That's something that we will have to deal with from now through November.
Any questions, Ms. Gentry? Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll go to IT, Mr. Zach.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
No action items this month's cycle, just a couple updates on some ongoing projects. The fire alarm, I mentioned last month that there was a faulty cable that was identified running from the cellular antenna. That was what was dropping the signal. We were getting that error at the annunciator panel in the front lobby. I said I was just going to look at it, make sure, like, it had been replaced when I reported on it last month, but I was like, I wanted to wait, make sure no errors came back later, and there's been 0 issues there. So fire alarm is complete, finally. Spectrum cable, I've been informed that the infrastructure work here in the area has been completed. I was given a date of the 10th of June. Well, not 10th of June, because that's tomorrow, but I believe that they're going to start work on the buildings next week. They'll be starting the installs, is what I've been told. Upstairs in our mechanical room, it was being used as storage for old computers, old technology. I was given the task of cleaning that out, and with the help of Eddie Plunkett, him and his guys got all that properly disposed of. So mechanical room has nothing in it at this point. I think there's an old Christmas tree sitting up there. Other than that, I put the shopkeep systems in at the pool for concessions and for the employees to clock in with. There is an issue with the card payment. Unfortunately, due to shopkeep being bought out by a company called Lightspeed, I guess their transactions fall under a different name now, and it was throwing a flag whenever transactions would be ran, and it was saying there was a processor error, and we checked everything on our end, and it's fine. So we've gone with Bank Lincoln County, and they said that there's a couple of forms that have to be resubmitted, and that's we're waiting on that right now. I was told it was identified that we have some issues with these 2 speakers over here, and I'm looking into some replacements for those. This right here is actually going out as well, so I figured I'd just replace all of them.
Okay.
And things have kind of slowed down here lately, so I've been working on my Network Plus certification material, and I'm hoping to take it next week.
Any questions?
Zach, when you mentioned the speakers, I know we discussed this in IT and planning. When you mentioned the speakers, is this it came out because of the audience cannot hear a lot of times what we're saying or what's going on. So this will enhance the
Absolutely.
hearing of anybody attending a public meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good, because we've gotten some.
No, but there's zero audio coming out of these speakers over here. And here it's kind of spotty. This will distort a lot too if something loud is played through it. So I'm just going to replace all of them.
That would be good, because a lot of, people do attend to get information and they attend to hear what's going on. So if they come and they can't hear, it's kind of useless. So thank you
Might as
so
well just be
much.
looking at the YouTube video at that point.
Thanks, Zach.
Zach, what is the time expectation that we can probably be able to correct all of this?
I'd like to have it done by next meeting cycle.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll go finance, Ms. Stacy Rozelle.
Of course, as was mentioned earlier, we will have the public hearing on the city and the city schools budgets next week. After the public hearing, then it's on for the board to vote for the FY23 budget. So I can get it sent to the comptroller and it be in effect by July 1, whenever it should take place. Then we will also have a separate ordinance for, let's see, the next one is our year-end cleaning up budget amendment. If you'd like me to, I can read through all of these, or if you've looked through them, if you have any questions on them, you can ask me. This is literally, just getting everything cleaned up to try to avoid any kind of audit finding for being over budget, something like that. The next one is the Fayetteville City Schools budget amendment to record their summer learning grant. And then for number 4, 5, and 6, these are all the invoices related to the Fayetteville City Schools Dome project that are pretty standard, have to come through this board to be approved.
Everybody good taking all that Tuesday?
Okay. On those three right there, the school board already passed those three Monday night.
And you want to give an update on the sales tax?
Yes, our local option sales tax for the month of May came in at $299,696.11. That means we're only $36,000 away from hitting our FY22 budget amount, and we still have 2 months to record because we received those sales tax a month in arrears. So what we actually receive in hand in July will be dated as a June revenue.
Also, you have on your report that the occupancy tax is only $2,700 away.
Yep, so we should long surpass it next month because we usually receive on the low end even $5,000, $6,000 a month, all the way up to 14 or 15, just depending on what's going on that month with people in town.
Any questions of Ms. Rozelle?
Yeah, do I read this right? Can we anticipate maybe somewhere in the range of, I'm not putting numbers to it, but maybe $500,000 over the budget amount on sales tax?
We could be close.
Yeah. Okay.
Depending on, because we usually receive, here lately you can see it's close to $300,000 a month. So if we,
So we're only 36.
we're only 36
We've got
away.
2 months to go. We could very well be over that $500,000 over budget amount.
At one point, you had given the board an estimate of $400,000 over by the end of the year. We're tracking at one point that, so we can.
And I will also give an update. Mr. Bryant had asked about the sanitation fund in the committee meeting on Tuesday. So I pulled those numbers this morning. As of today, we're showing $168,000 in the sanitation fund. The same day last year, we were at 95. So 95,000, excuse me. So we are increasing that fund.
Said well over 70,000
So.
increase.
All right, thank you. All right, we'll go to administration. Alderman Hartman, this is where Mr. Owens will speak about the electrical bid that came in for Don Davidson Park.
Good morning again, and you're correct, Mayor. Part of my report will be about the Don Davidson Park bid process. We did close the bid process with the bid opening on June 2nd. At that time, we only had one bidder. We were a little disappointed just to have only one bidder, but that bid came in at a total of $820,000, and we had budgeted for $500,000. So right now, as of yesterday, we did speak with our consultant, our engineer consultant, who is going back to the bidder to ask for some, see whether we can itemize some of the costs and some willingness of some of the things we can end up not being able to perform as part of the bid. So we're expecting some results from our consultant probably by the first of next week. At that time, we will go to speak with FPU about some options they can provide. And as of next Thursday, we're meeting with Laura Lee, who helped us with that particular grant to see about what options we have with the funding. So there's still some options to do. We have 30 days from the time we receive the bid to accept the bid. So some more information will be coming to the board. We're open to hear any concerns from the board, but right now this is where we are as far as receiving the bid and looking towards what other options we have with moving forward with the bid. And we need to really decide, and allow me to add this too, there may be a call for an emergency session about accepting the bids once we find out what options we do have, because July 2nd is before our next board meeting, so we may need to call a special meeting just to decide on how do we proceed from there. And if all goes well, I should have more information to the board following our meeting with Laura Lee, and that is scheduled next Thursday at this very same time. And I'm open for any questions if you have any at this particular time.
I have a comment.
Yes, sir, please.
I think we should really appreciate how much Federal Public Utilities has helped us on Don Davidson Park.
Yes, sir.
It's been a tremendous help.
And they're totally engaged into how we move forward. As I mentioned, we will be meeting with them on Wednesday concerning what things they can offer or any comments they have on this.
Well, they should be committed in the work they've done because it saved the city taxpayer a lot of dollars.
Indeed.
I do have a couple of questions, Mr. Owens, and I know we have spoken before about this bid and everything. Let me get this correct. In this bid of $820,000, this is only electrical. There's no renovations of any buildings. There's no anything. So there's nothing there that we can cut, like remodeling, or this is strictly electrical to get these poles and lights connected.
You're correct. It's only to do the electrical work. One of the things that our consultant did propose in cutting some of the costs, there was a possibility. She asked, would we be willing to not do the electrical to the concession station, and she also asked about the scoreboard, and I just sort of assumed that the scoreboard was a big part of the games out there, so I didn't look at that as an option, but that was one of the things she did ask in our tele-meeting yesterday.
Yeah, you have the scoreboards.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, and maybe if we go, since we're probably going to have to go into a special session, can we have a breakdown of how much we have already spent? Like, we know the first portion of the lights and the poles, that cost, the cost of the engineering, and then we have a budget of $500,000 to connect all this together and get the lights up and going, so we can have a total cost of what this project at Don Davis is going to
Yes,
cost us.
yes, you can have that.
Yes, we can do that.
With the explanation of where the money came from, so nobody will get thinking about it.
Absolutely, absolutely, sure.
Yes, that's simple. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Mr. Owens has a very detailed report on your iPads of what he's been working on the last 30 days. So if you have any questions, you can ask him of that.
Can I add a couple of things?
Yes,
if I
sir.
may? So in addition to the report, I do want to say one comment as a result of Chris's report that should be mentioned. We did do the home application, and we did receive a number of applications. I thought the process went extremely well. She was modest in her report, but we did receive over 20 applications, and they're being really considered now. So we will have further word in upcoming meetings about how we proceed. But we did have a number of residents to take advantage of applying for home grant applications, and we did get a lot of good feedback from the office handling that. We did get the word out, so I was very pleased with that, and I did want to mention that in this particular meeting. Also, I want to mention that in the Public Works Committee, we did have a good session with Croy. They're starting to look at the plans with the sidewalks. They will be returning back, but I thought it went well, and they did respond positively. They thought that the comments were well and well received, so I did want to let the board also know that we're still looking into that. I want to talk about the Humane Society. I did send word out to the board that we have received notice as of last Thursday that the Lincoln County Humane Society do not wish to continue their partnership with Fayetteville as well as Lincoln County. Since that time, I have had two meetings at least with the county mayor about options about moving ahead, as well as Attorney Hill and I sat down and looked at options with dissolving the particular contract. So a lot more information will be coming before you. Mayor Newman did mention that he has visited Giles County and was quite pleased and entertained that we may even also visit Giles County and what they're doing with animal control. But I do want to let the board know that we're still exploring that. A lot of information should be to you all before July 1st. So I wanted just to give you all the opportunity if you had any questions, as well as announce that we do formally plan to open up the police chief for applications next week. There should be about a 2-week process of applications, so more information will be coming to you all. I do want to commend our police department. They've been working very well with me, trying to allow me to know the operations and everything, so we've been working hand in hand. So a lot of things should be developing between now and the 4th of July with that. And I'm open if you have any questions on this or anything else I submitted in my report.
Mr. Owens, how will you publicize the announcement for the police chief?
So we have a couple of processes. Of course, it will be in our local newspapers, which will include at least our Fayetteville as well as Huntsville. But we're also going through the MTS. We're going through the the state police announcements, organization announcements. So we have about 5 ways that we're going to publicize the job. It's going to be pretty much similar to what was done when the city administrator's position was posted. I mean, the guidelines are very similar to the way you all did with this position.
Okay. Any other questions of Mr. Owens?
I do have some questions, Mr. Owens. On the Humane Society, since their notice of intent to no longer fulfill the contract with this animal control, That's going to expire before our next meeting. How is that going to affect the city?
And that may be part of our special call. It is so, everything is so much in the air right now, I cannot say one way or the other. I mean, one of the things that Mayor Newman asked that was very a real concern. What if we have a little period that we do not have any official animal control? What do we do? So we're even looking at those options as we speak. And just to let the board know, right now, he and I have a weekly meeting to update on what we need to do in the weekly assignments. We talked about yesterday when Attorney Hill and I had a chance to talk. We talked about what happens on day one. What if the Humane Society, we walk in there and we just find a number of dogs and cats there, what we do and how do we proceed with that. I have even inquired with the Tennessee Association of Animal Control and, to get some advisement. I do expect a visit from them probably within the next week or two. They had a conference this week, so I guess the associate director says that they may come and do a visit, and I keep the board posted if we are to assume a visit from them as well. So the answer is it could be a number of things to occur.
Okay, because by the city charter, we're only responsible, and correct me if I'm wrong, for animal control. Sometime over a period of years, this is kind of meshed together, and the Humane Society and takes care of the animal control. But by charter, that's what the city is responsible for, is strictly animal control. Is that right?
So my interpretation, and I don't want to speak officially on it, but I'm looking at the Tennessee charter, and it really is a county responsibility that we have assumed some responsibility. So if we're going to talk about the charter, it would be on the county's level, from what I have interpreted.
Mr. Hill, I asked you to look into that. Have you had a chance from what Mr. Owens just brought up?
And I'd been in touch with our MTAS attorney 6 months ago or so when we kind of first started having some rumblings about that. And we really weren't finding anything at the state level that mandates animal control on the city, whether we're required to and whether we opt to do so, two different things. Opt to do so are two different things. But I don't see a state requirement necessarily that we have to provide animal control legally within the city.
But now, under our code at the moment, do we state? We have our municipal code and we have the charter. Are we stating anything under either of those two documents that we're doing that animal control wise, or that we've required ourselves to take responsibility on some part of that?
I don't recall anything specific in the code.
We had something about the violent dogs.
Right.
About the pit bulls.
About animals.
Yeah.
I don't recall a code provision that particularly binds us to provide animal control services.
Okay.
What I've seen on the issue, and I did ask you and Kevin separately to look into that particular state law, because I believe the state law pertains strictly to the county. I don't believe it pertains to cities. I believe it pertains strictly to the county. It might be worthwhile in looking into Bedford County and what happened with them. Just gives kind of an idea. So.
And there's a long document. It's a big document that goes into everything with the state of Tennessee, and everything within would say that it would be the county responsibility. I would prefer, before I speak officially, to get interpretation, but it's something, and I don't mind sharing it with the board, but it says nothing about the city's obligation to. I mean, I concur with what Attorney Hill says. It's nothing that we can find that says it's the city's obligation.
The bottom, to me, what caused me to ask those questions was the fact that city residents pay the county taxes, property taxes, same rate that they pay out in the county. County residents don't pay city taxes, but we're paying county taxes for whatever service everybody else in the county gets. So that's the reason I asked for that clarification.
So in Giles County, which is what Mayor Newman is recommending a similar model, it is total responsibility of the county. The city pays into it, but it's the county's responsibility. The budget, I think, was 140, maybe 142, something in that range for the county and the city to do their animal control services. And what I was able to find on the web, they have a very comprehensive approach to doing animal control services. So I still say their model is worth us looking at, whatever our decision may be.
Yeah, and mention the number of employees they have.
They have 2.5, 2 full-times and a half a part-time employee.
Yeah, there seems much more reasonable if that's the direction we go.
And one of the things that I've wondered about in seeing a copy of the email, the letter we got, was it appears that the Humane Society plans on continuing, I guess, from what I read.
We need to have some discussions, and that's also coming up next week, because I don't think they're in clarity about that they're no longer will have options on that building.
Well, those facilities belong to the city and county.
That's correct.
And it does. That's how it is. Mm-hmm. And we got $75,000 a year riding on this and right now.
So they need to be in preparation of finding a home for their
130 animals.
And 130 animals, and for their operation.
Right.
Because we do not provide a building for outside agencies.
I guess that's, I mean.
And we haven't charged them any rent or anything on that, so.
And I just have one more question. I know we've been here a long time this morning. One comment and one question. I would love to see our city get back to the 4th of July celebration, at least in the month of July. We're having a big celebration in June, like a week before the 4th. And I would love to see it get back to where our residents will have somewhere to go and somewhere to celebrate closer to the 4th of July. Maybe not on the exact date, but at least closer. We're way too far out. That was my comment. And the other question is the sidewalks. We approved the money on the sidewalks with the bond issue. And here we are, it's June. We've worked with Croy Engineering. It's been said that the project's put on hold, then it's not on hold. It's June. We won't meet on this again to July. There's a lot of decisions that this board has to make as from the renderings that's been provided. And we're now closer to getting our sidewalks, and we were hoping to have them in before Host. The way it is right now, we can't even start them because we're going to be right in the middle of Host. So, I mean, how soon do you see this moving forward? Why? It's July. We were hoping as soon as the weather broke in January to start on these sidewalks.
So if I may, I do have a meeting with a phone call, I should say, with Mr. Stringer, who was here on Monday, and I will get a time estimate on what it is. I do know that he wanted to come back and bring it. He was trying to gather information, so he did not give us a timeline, but I will be able to retain one from our conversation this coming week.
It just seems like we're letting the time of this year slip away, and we're going to be a year behind on this project, and we're in dire need of getting our square looking better, and we're having people fall. This is why, we're doing this. So I just feel like we're losing time.
Yes, ma'am. Give me a little time. I'm not even at 75 days on the job, so
I
give me a
know,
little
you're
time
doing a
to
marvelous job.
kind of, find out what's going on, and I will report back to the board.
Thank you.
I might add to our department that we spent quite a bit of time Monday on this in our committee meeting and Public Works. One of the big things that they want, and the board's going to have to decide, is priority. And we gave our opinion on the priority. We don't know how far this fund is going to go, but we gave our opinion on the priority. But on which sections to do first, what we can fund. But, they'll have to come to the full board. The full board will have to make that decision. And also, they wanted some ideas they gave us some ideas they had, and we expressed our opinions on those ideas. And then again, that's something that in the public meeting, we're going to have another public meeting. All of that needs to come together, and we do need to have information for all that to come together. So those preliminary plans, I don't know if everybody got them or not, did they? Those sketches and all they had?
No.
We would need to pass them around to all the whole board.
We do, because he wants to leave the next meeting with, all of the inputs from this particular board. So if anyone has not had a copy, and he did have some extra copies, I'll make sure you get one this week.
Those big sheets, I don't know who all got them, but I hadn't seen them. It's got all sides of the square, plus one on South Main down there, and it shows some of the ideas that they've got. They've got some seating ideas. They've got some tables outside.
Some like landscaping.
The plants, some plant ideas and all such as that.
That's what I'm saying is, okay, so now we're pushed to July before the complete board will even see these renderings. I have a copy because I normally attend the Public Works meeting, but it never comes out. We never get to a point where we can make these decisions. We should have already decided which sidewalks we're going to do.
We gave specific ideas, just ours only, our committee, for them to bring back to the board. They had one idea in there that we didn't take care about, so that'll be a decision the board had to make. We'll leave it in or take it out. Kevin will know what it is. He was there. So.
And even in the process, we're still continuing to interpret, wishes of the board, how to move forward. I guess his ideas were to start, just collecting the ideas and whatever. So I do want to make sure that any of the board members who did not receive a copy of the plans do have them, so they can look and ask questions and give inputs.
Because I think we had talked about doing the perimeter of the square, the inside of the square, because the county's already done their portion and it looks great. So now we need to go around the outside of the square. The east side it's more up to date, I guess, because it's newer on this side. But,
They presented all sides of the square and then South Main on the side that Norman Furniture's on because of safety issues. That section down there and then around the square, we just kind of gave them our ideas of what we kind of went safety. Our ideals is just, take a hard look over there because there's a lot of people's failed over there. There's been some issues over there.
We have people fall on all four sides.
Take a hard look. Take a hard look at the south side because it's all pieces.
Yes.
And then maybe take a look at the west side. And we kind of held back a little bit on this side and north side because they're in better shape.
Right.
So they should be coming back pretty soon.
They will.
Pretty soon. It should be. And You can get with Kevin on there was an idea on there that I didn't particularly like, personally speaking, but it's just me, so Kevin knows about that. You'll talk to him about that.
But it's continuing, it's going on, and we also, he and I are at least verbally talking every week. So like I said, I'll make sure everybody has copies, comments I will be receiving weekly.
Thank you.
Okay, last two items. About 3 weeks ago, I notified the board about reappointments for Glenn Oldham and Amy Harwell on the FPU boards. Is everybody good taking that to Tuesday? Anything else? Any other questions of the board members before we adjourn? All right, we'll adjourn till Tuesday evening, 5 p.m.